So in building a probate-based real estate business, so many agents make the mistake of cold calling and looking like all the other agents, as opposed to playing to your strengths, which is what I did when I built my business. And also, I came across a friend from our probate mastery call, Melanie Hands, who is the probatenurse.com. Hey, Melanie, how you doing?
Hi, Bill. So happy to be here. Doing awesome. Thank you.
And so where do you sell real estate?
So I'm in Tampa, St. Pete area.
Nice. And when you grew up and you were a young girl, did you say, someday I want to grow up and be the probate nurse? Or how did you end up here?
I have always had aspirations to do real estate, but more from the investment perspective. And I was a nurse for many, many years in Detroit, and I just never really thought about it, it kind of crossed my mind. And then someone in Detroit said, hey, you know what? You're really burned out on nursing. You should probably look into real estate. And I went to one of those weekend forums, and that was it. I was kind of hooked on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you practice your real estate in Tampa, St. Pete, and you are the probate nurse.com. How did you get into the probate space?
So that's really interesting too. So when I was in Detroit, back years ago, people are always fighting for leads, right? And trying to get to the people first and things like that. And one of the mentors up there in Detroit said to me, why don't we check out these probate leads? Or kind of at that time, this was like 13 or 14, essentially untouched, and it was a really cool niche to get involved with. And with my nursing background, it just kind of made sense, right? And at that time, it was a lot easier. I mean, really, I would just pick up the call and people would say, where are you? I need you. So that's kind of why I got into it. People really, really need you.
So you say something that I get because I've talked to you and a couple other people like you in that niche of a niche. But some people say, nurse, real estate, how do those two relate together? So you said it makes sense. How does that make sense to you? Where you said?
Yeah. So I think probate for me, is with that nursing background, really made sense in the fact that you're dealing with people who are going through major life transitions. They've gone through major loss. They're not completely 100% there in their right mental frame of mind, and they're very vulnerable, right? They're very vulnerable to people who can come in and essentially take for them. And I wanted to provide a service where I could go in and help them and answer their questions while not taking advantage, and honestly, it's so rampant, as in this business.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of that.
So what's it look like today? What are the activities you do that generate business for you as the probate nurse?
So right now, as we discussed earlier, I'm going to be starting to do some videos. So I have started to do some scripting. So I'll spend some time doing that. And I just really keep in contact with a lot of the realtors that I'm with in my brokerage, which is Mahar and Associates here in Tampa. And I ask them if there's anything they need help with. It's really just a lot of calling and a lot of following up. Honestly,
Right.
as we've got a CRM database. I like to send out monthly, if not more, messages. I had a newsletter, but I'm kind of getting away from that and making it a little bit more tailored to maybe just one or two things that are happening in Tampa. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, to get your name out there. I do a lot of social media. I do a lot of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, things like that.
So tell me, when you meet with somebody, is it just the relationship of a nurse to a prospective family, or are you able to interact with professionals in the field as a nurse as well, like adult centers or senior living or skilled nursing, or there's a million different names, different niches there?
There's a lot. So, for the family, you're just kind of there, people do have a level of trust with nurses. So that is, makes that conversation flow a little bit easier. And having come out of the situation that I've been in recently with my own family, I'm able to take my, what happened with my family, my experiences, and kind of shift that over to my clients and have a little conversation with them about where they need to go and where they need to start. So that does open up a lot of conversation. And then in terms of the assisted living and whatnot, that's a really tough platform to get into. You really need to know people. So I basically just started reaching out to senior communities that were having nursing or senior events, and I would just show up And I just started building my circle that way.
Yeah.
And so I show up at their networking events, and they finally do start to send a few referrals your way. So
I think it's so much more productive than cold calling attorneys, cold calling families. You're talking to people, but you also have a little less competition because you have not just the RN name, but you also, or a designation, but you also have the skills that go along with that, and the experience and the personality that goes along with that. So imagine,
commonality, there's a commonality there, and there's just, you really open up, especially a lot of the nurses now are doing that. They're the people who are the administrators of the ALFs and nursing homes and things like that, or their frontline or their sales. So yeah,
Right.
you're right there with them. And
Right.
they kind of look at your name tag and they go, oh, okay, so what do you mean? What is this probate nurse? So it's really good. It's such a great opening for conversation.
Yeah, the second I heard that you did that, and in fact, I didn't even know you had the name. I just saw your designation on your name. I said, the probate nurse, and it just makes sense that you do that.
Mm.
So you service Tampa, St. Pete. Do you end up getting business? I mean, Florida's a big state. Do you end up getting business outside of the area, and how do you cooperate with agents in other areas, or do you?
So I'm really just getting started again, in kind of reaching out to people, but I have had clients that are from out of state.
Right.
And we like to help them, with whatever questions they have from a distance, and then hopefully we can meet them here. If not, we gain trust to get entry to the home and tell them what we can do to help them.
Right.
And that's not unusual. I mean, in Florida, I did it myself. We all come down here to help our parents out. And if you're still up north, it's hard. It's really, really difficult because there's a process to it here,
Right.
paperwork that needs to be filed, and, lawyers that need to be notified, and people honestly don't know what to do. So yeah, I do get some business here. I get business outside. Yeah.
Very good.
And building that referral system too, for people who are out of my own state.
So looking back on the business you built so far, what's the one regret you have that you didn't jump on sooner? You held yourself back, and now you go, why did I not just jump in?
Bill, I'm telling you. So I've stopped and started a couple of times, jumped in and out of real estate a few times. And do I wish that I had stayed in it? Yes, because I moved here a couple of years, well, almost 6 years ago now. And at that time, you're going to just think, what? I was buying houses in Pasco County for like $65,000, and I'm showing now for like 289, and that was within that 2 to 3 year period. So yeah, I wish I would have kept them and not wholesale them or whatever I was doing with them at the time. Yeah. So my advice for anybody is today is the best day. Don't wait.
Well, there's a saying that tough times don't last, tough people do. And I think if you push yourself through that transition or the difficulty, the success is just on the other side of the ridge. And for all agents, it's why I really recommend building a database, building a business rather than chasing a commission check. And that way you have some momentum for those times that inevitably come, the ups and downs, to build business longer term.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing truer than that. I mean, honestly, business does go up and down. We all know that. We're in sales, and the market fluctuates as it is right now. But one thing that's always true in life, right? Death, taxes, and people needing help. So if realtors can take those skills and shift them over, again, like we had talked the other day, you don't need to be a nurse or medical person to do this. This is just something that's out of our box of knowledge. And just think about what you can do for that person, and what their situation is. And what I like to do is sit down with them and figure out where they are financially, what works best for them. It's going to be a cash sale, a listing sale, what else? There's many, many other options. And then just kind of work from there. And if agents can do that and bring the value, they got it. They're hired.
Bring their skill set, bring their experience,
Absolutely.
bring their Rolodex to it. That's why I tell people, whether you're an accountant or financial planner, one of our colleagues is an auctioneer. I didn't go to law school. I applied, and I was coming on a law school track. That's why I've kind of taken to learning the law of probate real estate sales in my business. Find what you like, what you can bring to your customers, and that's how you get paid. So tell me a little bit. I noticed on your name also you have the designation CPE, which is Certified Professional Probate Expert. I'm not part of the company other than I do host the calls for that group. But so we can be honest here. What's the value of the two things? One, the education you got in it, and then second, what's the value of that designation?
So it really, people always ask, what is that? And I get to tell them. I by no means claim that I'm an expert in anything, but I say to them, hey, I'm trained in this. This is what I'm doing, and through this coursework that we do, we have mastermind calls and we can talk about problems and we can find solutions quicker. So really, we can, it just helps people that you're working with to move forward quickly with their case. So yeah, so it's really, really important to have that. I think if you're really looking at doing probate or inherited sales, I think it's something that really is extremely valuable. It really is. The lessons that I've learned along the way, I can now, at first it didn't really make sense to me, but now that I'm a little bit into it, like, that really, really makes sense. With that, you're able to locate problems quickly and solve them fast.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, look, Melanie, I really appreciate the time you spent. I know you're busy, and I appreciate that, what you've done and that you've been sharing with us on our journey. Those of us who are in the certified probate expert world have a weekly call, and you've been able to come back and give us updates on your progress and share with us your success. So I appreciate that. If someone wants to get a hold of you and wants to talk to you about your probate business or working with you in Tampa, St. Pete, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
They can email me, info@theprobatenurse.com. That would probably be the best way to get a hold of me at this point.
Fantastic. Info@theprobatenurse.com.
And then theprobatenurse.com, right?
Your website, theprobatenurse.com. Looking at that. In fact, I'll do a quick little screen share. And you can see that it's like legit, and it has a bunch of great content for attorneys. It has good information for families with, if you want to make a contact, there's that, and then there's a glossary, frequently asked questions. So if you're a family with some questions and what it means here, a lot of that's already answered for you. So a great resource at theprobatenurse.com. And better than the website is the person. Melanie, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bill. Appreciate your time. Thank you.